my name is Pierre and I'm from Canada, and I want to demonstrate some Pitman Shorthand. Shorthand is a system of very quick writing. It was needed to record government debates and court proceedings and things, and people learned to write many times faster than regular handwriting, and it was to capture everything at the speed of speech. It was extensively studied in schools for business and courts and government, but now almost nobody knows about it or studies it with the advent of modern tape recorders and MP3 recorders and things like that, but some people still know about it. And I want to demonstrate Pitman Shorthand, which was invented in Britain in 1837 and spread to the Commonwealth countries, and was also spread somewhat to the United States, although the Gregg shorthand method there, which was built on different principles, dominated in the US. But I know about Pitman, so that's what I'll show, and I'll show you some basics of this faster kind of alternative handwriting. Okay, I want to demonstrate the basics of Pitman Shorthand. Like most shorthand systems, Pitman does away with the traditional letters. The shapes of the letters are too complicated to write as fast as the speed of speech, so Pitman says we're going to use straight line strokes and quarter circle strokes as the basic shapes. It makes it very geometric, and the sound of the letter P is a light stroke written downwards at a 45-degree angle as shown, and the corresponding heavy stroke or thick stroke is the sound of the letter B. You use light and heavy strokes in Pitman. This was easy to write in the 18th century when people used pen nibs. Now I have to make do with a ballpoint pen. It doesn't really matter if you make a mistake and if you write a light for a heavy stroke, because you'll notice that these are related sounds. This is an unvoiced consonant and this is a voiced consonant sound, so you can often figure out any mistake. And similarly, for other strokes, there's a light stroke straight down for the sound of the letter T and a heavy stroke straight down for the sound of the letter D. There's a ch sound, which is a stroke written downwards at a 15-degree angle. It's technically written right to left. And the heavy stroke is the sound of the letter J. So you have ch and j. And the sound of the letter R is a stroke written upwards at a 45-degree angle, the other direction, opposite direction to this, and so that's the sound of the letter R. The level strokes are a light stroke for the k sound, heavy stroke for the g sound. And the sound of the letter H can be written in several ways. You can write a little clockwise circle here, and then a stroke downwards, or a clockwise circle and a stroke upwards for the letter H. There are in fact other ways to show H as well. The sound of the letter W is a stroke all right, but it has a little hook at the beginning, so you write a stroke this way. That's the sound of the letter W, and there's a few other ways occasionally used to show W. And the sound of the letter Y, the Y sound, is a similar stroke, but the hook is facing this way. Now for the curved strokes, if you take a circle, divide it into 4, you can divide that 2 different ways, so that makes a total of 8 different curves. A light stroke for F, an F sound is written this way, and a heavy stroke is the corresponding V sound. A stroke written this way, and this is another of the right to left strokes, is a sh sound. The heavy form is a j sound. The letter L is written this way, written upwards, and the letter R this way is written downwards. Now, why do you have 2 different forms of the letter R? Well, it has to do with usage. This form is used only after vowels. So there are some letters like R, W, H, and there's some ways, there's some letters that you show several different ways. And this is the light stroke for the sound of th, and the corresponding heavy stroke is the sound the. So it's the 2 th sounds in English, th and the. And for S and Z, a light stroke written this way is s. A heavy stroke this way is the z sound, but you actually have a small counterclockwise circle that appears in many places for both sounds. So this is often used in words. It's used at the end of words for a plural, or so that way it doesn't matter whether you finish your word with s or z, you just write a small circle. It's that easy. You don't try to think about which sound it is. And so again, That's often used, and it's also used to join strokes a lot of the time. The letter M is a quarter circle facing down, so that's the M sound. If you make it a heavy stroke, it's a less common sound, an MP or a MB sound like MP or MP. That's covered in a later lesson in Pitman. And a quarter circle stroke facing upwards is the sound of the letter N. If you make it a quarter circle stroke, a heavy stroke, it's the sound ing, so that's found at the beginning of many words. I don't expect you to memorize any of these. You just have to drill. It takes several hundred hours to learn Pitman, just like the struggles when you were a kid learning regular writing. You do need a couple of hundred hours to learn this stuff, but it's all through drill. Now we move on to vowels, and the vowels are light dots or dashes, or heavy dots or dashes, and a couple of other marks, and it matters what position you put the vowel in. So you can put it at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end of a stroke. So these are called the first position, second position, and third position, and they assume totally different vowel sounds. So a light dot in the first position of a stroke is the sound a, so this example word is bat. The same dot in the middle of a stroke is the S sound, so that's bet. And the same stroke at the end of the same dot at the end of the stroke is the I sound. So you got bat, bet, and bit. Now, you notice I didn't put the dot in the third position here, because that could be confused with a first position vowel. The rule is, if you have a third position vowel and there's a consonant stroke following it, put it at the just before the next stroke, so that it avoids confusion of the vowels. And that too, you have to learn the vowels, the vowel system according to the drill. Another important rule is that if the starting vowel is a first position vowel, you write the entire stroke. The entire first stroke has to be above the line. If it starts with a second position vowel, you write it on the line. And if it's a third position vowel, you write it through the line or under the line to start with. And this is a rule for vowel indication. So you have an indication of the vowel, even if you were not to put any vowel marks there. So often the vowel marks can be dispensed with, and in Pitman you learn a lot about how to do that. But Pitman is not just an alphabet. It's not just a special alphabet. It's a whole intricate system of writing, and there's many tips and tricks that change the meaning of a stroke. Strokes can be cut in half, or they can be double-sized. If you have a regular L sound and a dot, that's two symbols in Pitman. It stands for the word lay, for example. If you cut the same stroke in half, you add the sound of T or D to a sound. So you add it to the L sound, so it's a word like let, written with the light dot here in the middle is let. So it's half the size of a regular L. And if you double the size of a regular L, you actually add the sounds of TR, DR, THR, or TUR, those related sounds, to the end of the word. So one single stroke, double-sized L, and a dot in the middle stands for the word letter. So that's halving and doubling. Another common trick in Pitman is to add hooks to a stroke. If you have a basic up and down stroke, that's the letter T, but if you start it with a hook, that becomes a TR sound. So you have strokes like TR. This is a TL sound. Putting a hook at the end of the stroke makes a sound of TN. So you write the word 10 with just a little added dot. And a hook this way can be add the sound of F or V. So that's hooks. That's very commonly used in Pitman on straight strokes, and also a system for curved strokes. And Pitman has hundreds of abbreviations. All the one-stroke, two-stroke, and three-stroke forms might be abbreviations. So, for example, for the letter T, the stroke can also stand for the word at if it's above the line, or it if it's on the line. And for the letter D, it can be the word had if it's on the above the line, do if it's on the line, or different if it's written through the line.